In the vast, ever-evolving landscape of electronic music, few genres have managed to maintain the intensity and complexity as drum and bass. But drum and bass didn't just emerge out of nowhere. It's a mix of influences stretching across continents and decades. In the 1970s, Jamaican reggae and dub washed ashore in Britain's cities such as Brixton, Bristol, and London. Jamaican immigrants brought their sound systems to the UK, and they knocked with heavy bass lines, reverberating through the neighborhoods. Artists like King Tubby and Lee Perry are often credited as pioneers for techniques like remixing and dub. Soon, these techniques planted seeds in the minds of UK youths, and eventually they would echo into drum and bass production. In the late 80s, the UK was in the grips of the Second Summer of Love, which was a cultural movement centered around the explosion of acid and Detroit house, ecstasy-fueled warehouse raves, underground music scenes, and youth counterculture. This era established raves and pirate radio stations as platforms for new music, which jungle and drum and bass would later dominate. It spanned roughly from 1988 to 1989, and drew comparisons to the original Summer of Love in 1967, which was associated with the hippie movement, psychedelic rock, and free love. These raves introduced a generation to fast, repetitive beats, deep bass lines, and psychedelic sounds, setting the stage for jungle and drum and bass. In the early 90s, jungle was born in London's inner cities and emerged as a cultural expression. It played a big part in the UK with black youths, similar to hip-hop in the US. However, it drew in a diverse crowd, from black, white, to working class people. It didn't matter, they were all united by the rhythm. Jungle music would emerge during a period of social, economic, and cultural disruption. At this time, the UK was under Margaret Thatcher's government, which saw economic inequality, urban decay, and racial tensions, particularly in cities like London, Bristol, and Birmingham. For many young people, especially from the working class and black communities, mainstream culture felt distant and unrepresentative, so instead, they would turn to the underground. The rave scene, which exploded in 1988 with the Second Summer of Love, provided an escape, a rejection of authority. But by the early 1990s, the scene was diversifying. House and techno were dominant, but some DJs and producers sought after the harder and faster sounds that reflected their lived experiences. The result was jungle, a raw, chaotic hybrid of breakbeats and reggae that thrived in pirate radio stations and illegal raves. The backbone of jungle comes from a sampled drum breaks, most famously the Amen break, from the Winston's 1969 track, Amen Brother. Producers would speed up these loops from around 160 to 180 BPM, chopping and layering them for a frantic, syncopated feel. Jungle owes much to the Jamaican sound system culture, which had a strong presence in Britain's Caribbean communities. Heavy bass lines and echo effects, along with reggae's rhythms and vocals, were tied into the music. Due to the popularity, tracks were pressed on vinyl, handed out at parties, and sold from car boots. It was unstoppable, and it was the music for the kids who didn't fit in anywhere else. Technology played its part too. Samplers and drum machines let producers chop breaks, pitch shift bass, and layer sounds in ways that it defied convention. At this point in time, it was raw and unpolished, but by the mid-90s, jungle began to evolve. Some felt that jungle carried stereotypes, being too tied to its reggae roots or dismissed as street music. This is when producers wanted to redefine it, to push it into new territories. So, they stripped it down, keeping the breakbeats and bass of jungle, but stripped the reggae vocals, focusing on rhythm and atmosphere. It was futuristic, a sound for the new millennium. By this time, the term drum and bass was born. This wasn't rebellious music anymore, it was art. Around the same time, the UK government launched a major crackdown on rave culture, marking a turning point for the underground scene. This was mainly due to the growing scale of illegal raves and moral panic over drug use. The result was the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act of 1994, which made organizing unlicensed raves nearly impossible. The government would go as far as illegalizing gatherings that had over 100 people playing quote-unquote repetitive beats, and empowered police to shut down raves and seize sound systems. This effectively forced many people to turn to legal venues like clubs, which in turn split the rave music scene into different directions. Labels like Moving Shadow, founded in 1990 by Rob Playford, helped the world hear drum and bass, with their artists' music appearing in popular video game franchises such as Midnight Club and Grand Theft Auto. This is where artists like Goldie, Omni Trio, and Two Bad Mice got their start. Goldie would go on to release the 1995 album Timeless, which is often seen as one of the defining moments of drum and bass. This wouldn't come without the help of Rob Playford, as he played a major role in the programming and production. Goldie would eventually start the Metalheadz record label, alongside DJ duo Chemistry and Storm in 1994. This label helped shape the sound, culture, and perception of the genre. But they didn't just stop at records. The launch of the Metalheadz Sunday sessions at London's Blue Note Club in 1995 became legendary, providing a space for experimentation and a community that nurtured the genre's evolution. These nights, alongside the label's output, played a key role in drum and bass's mid to late 90s run. As the shift in drum and bass continued to occur, Metalheadz never fully abandoned jungle's chaotic, reggae-infused energy. Early releases like Doc Scott's Drums 95 or Goldie's Jah the Seventh Seal retained the chopped amen break, dub bass lines, and rude boy attitude of jungle, reworked with a polished and forward-thinking twist. Metalheadz also played a pivotal role in the rise of tech step in the mid to late 90s, which is a darker, more mechanical offshoot of drum and bass. Tracks like Niten Ichirayu and Bacteria featured hard breakbeats and heavy sub-bass, creating an aggressive atmosphere. The sound was harsh and futuristic. This helped define the label's reputation, pushing technical boundaries. Good Looking Records, founded by LTJ Buckham, is renowned for producing a specific style of drum and bass that emphasizes a jazz-influenced, atmospheric, melodic element. This sound is often described as atmospheric drum and bass, or liquid drum and bass. Unlike the harder, more aggressive variations of drum and bass like breakcore and neurofunk, Good Looking Records focuses on a smoother, more sophisticated vibe. LTJ Buckham is a classically trained pianist with roots in jazz fusion. He brought these influences into his production and the label's catalog. The music typically features warm bass lines with intricate breakbeats that are less chaotic and more polished, followed by ambient melodies, often incorporating live instrumentation like Rhodes chords, strings, or jazzy instruments. Tracks from the label, such as Buckham's own Atlantis or Horizons, showcases the blend of crisp drum patterns and emotive soundscapes, creating the chill-out or headphone-friendly experience that you can get lost in. The label's roster included artists like Pache, Photek, Blue Martin, and Seba, further refining this aesthetic, crafting a sound that feels refreshing. Other labels like V Recordings, Reinforced Records, and more played a crucial role in the drum and bass genre. In 1997, the album New Forms by duo Ronnie Size and Represent won the Mercury Prize, proving the genre's legitimacy. The sound was infecting clubs from Tokyo to New York, but its soul stayed rooted in Britain's underground. It completely changed the perception of drum and bass, taking it from underground raves to a respected genre, as it's opened the doors for it finally being accepted in mainstream festivals and media. It was one of the first D&B albums to receive mainstream recognition, beating acts like Radiohead and The Prodigy. In the 2000s, we saw a shift. New producers, new technology, and new subgenres would emerge. The 2000s marked a technological revolution with the rise of digital production softwares like Ableton Live and Logic Pro, changing the way drum and bass was made. No longer limited to traditional hardware, producers can now experiment freely with endless possibilities in sound design. Sampling techniques evolved, allowing for more complex and layered tracks, and the use of plugins opened up new avenues in the sonic world. The internet and digital platforms allowed artists to share their work worldwide, further expanding to an international community of fans and producers. In summary, drum and bass has come a long way, from the warehouses of London to the global stages of today. It's a genre that keeps pushing boundaries, shaping cultures, and uniting people through the power of rhythm, becoming a staple in today's music. As electronic music continues to evolve, the legacy of D&B will undoubtedly remain influential, inspiring future generations of producers and fans alike. While there are countless artists from this genre, that number will only continue to multiply. This has been the origins of drum and bass. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.